Find your packet. All right, guys, so just double check. I know we finished this like pretty close to the end last time. Did you have this box plot done? Did you label it? Is everything okay? Did you have questions for me on making this? Or anything? Pretty good. It's nice when they just give you the 5-number summary. It's not too difficult to make at that point. One thing walking around I noticed last time, make sure you put a little bit of detail, that you put like the tick marks in between so you can read it a little better. Mine are obviously not perfectly evenly spaced. The goal is for them to be evenly spaced. And then from here, we're going to make comparisons. That's what the last part is. Compare the distributions of body temps for the two groups. So that basically means go through the entire the cusp. We're going to talk about center, shape, spread, unusual features, but in a comparison, not just individually. Okay? So it's kind of like 2 in 1. So let's do the center first. I'm going to talk about the median because that's easily seen in the box plots and it was given to us. The mean was also given to you right here, so it wouldn't be wrong if you compared the two means, okay? You do have that information. But I'm going to go with the medians. So I would just say something like the median body temp of females was 98.4. And then I'd say which is greater than the male body temp. Okay, so you're stating both, and then the comparison piece is like which one's greater than, which one's less than. So, greater than. Median males, what was it, 98.1? Okay, and again, you could do the same thing with mean. You could tell me, like, here are the two means, and this one's bigger than that one, okay? All right, what do you think? Unusual features. Do you think there were any unusual features? What's really the only unusual feature we might see on a box and whisker plot? An outlier. Yeah, good. Do you think either of these has an outlier? Maybe. Let's test and see. We didn't run through the outlier formula. So let's do that real quick. We wrote it down, right? You guys wrote Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. You guys remember writing this down? So high and low. Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. Yeah. Okay. So let's figure out our outlier boundaries here for the problem we just had. So let's do the females first. All right. How do I find? Well, I can write down the Q1. That's easy. That was 97.9 for females. So minus 1.5 times. How do I find IQR? Yeah. Q3 minus Q1, perfect. So Q3 for the female group was 98.8 minus that 97.9. So if you have your calculator, go ahead and pull that out for me. And just tell me, what is this? I don't have my calculator here, so I'm trusting you guys. 96.55, what do you think? You guys agree? 96.55, okay. We don't need the high end, but let's just practice the high end as well, just to make sure you guys are good. So Q3 was that 98.8, this time plus 1.5 times 98.8 minus 97.9. So what do we get for our upper boundary on outliers? 100 point what? Sorry. Okay. Anybody questions on calculating those two boundaries? Okay, so what these are the boundaries for outliers. So if any temperature for the females was below 96.55, that's an outlier. Or if it's above 100.15, it's an outlier. So looking at it again, do you think we have any outliers for the female group? What was the minimum they told us? 96.4. That's definitely less than 96.55, right? So we know there's at least one outlier over there, but because we've lost the individual values, we have no idea if there's more than one. So you would just say there's at least one outlier for the females. So there's at least one outlier on the left side. For the females. And then let's check for the male group just to make sure. I don't think there's any on the male group, but let's just double check. So we'll go through that same process. So the Q1 for males was 97.6 minus 1.5 times Q3, which was 98.6 minus Q1, it's 97.6. And then we'll do the same thing for the maximum. All right, what'd you get for the lower end boundary? Again, I don't have my calculator up here. Trusting you guys. Ninety-six point one. Okay. And the upper boundary. Anybody got it? You guys are going to want your calculators later, so you might as well get them out. 100.1. 100.1? We agree? Okay. So if you look at the max and min temperatures for the males, the minimum was 96.3. So that's not going to be an outlier because it's not below 96.1. And then the highest was 99.5, which is not above 100.1. So you would want to say, you know, there were no outliers in the male group, or whichever, however you want to talk about them. So there's at least one outlier on the left side for the females and no outliers for the males. All right, let's do shape next. Okay, shape is easier from a histogram than it is from a box and whisker plot. Like, it's just visually, you can see it right away. You have to think about it a little bit with a box and whisker plot. So what you're looking at here, if one whisker is significantly longer and the other one's like really short, that means you've got skew. But if things are fairly balanced all the way across, then you're looking at a symmetric distribution. And the other thing you can check is the mean and median. If those are almost exactly the same, that also means you have a symmetric distribution. Remember, the mean is going to get pulled towards the skew. So if your mean and median are very different, that tells you you've got a skewed distribution. If I look here for the females, the mean is 98.3.344, and the median is 98.4. Those are almost exactly the same. And for the males, it was 98.122 and 98.1. Do you guys see what I'm looking at here, the mean and the median? When they're that close, that's really just telling you, okay, I've got a pretty symmetric distribution, okay? So that's what I would say, and you can kind of clump them together. So I'd say the shape of the distributions, of both male and female body temps. Are fairly symmetric. Nothing's ever going to be perfect with your data again, okay? So you would say roughly symmetric or almost fairly symmetric, something like that, okay? And you want to tell me why you know that, and you would say because the mean and median within each distribution are almost equal. So for a free response question like this, I know we still have spread to do, but you can see how you have to kind of tell me a lot. You can't just go, oh yeah, the shapes are both pretty symmetric and just be done. Like, you need to be pretty detailed in how you're looking at them, okay? And sometimes it feels like you're saying the same thing. Just go ahead and say the same thing. It's okay to be a little bit redundant with these. All right, then we have the spread. So remember, you could talk about range here. You could talk about IQR. You could talk about standard deviation. I think it's easy to just talk range. Min and max are very simple to work with. So I'm just going to compare the two ranges. So I'm going to find the ranges and then compare them. So I would say the range of the distribution of body temps for females is, I think it's 3.6 degrees, yeah. Okay, again, that's just maximum minus minimum. And then I would say which is greater than the range the distribution of body temps. For males of 3.2 degrees. Okay. Questions on that? Make sure you always have context in there and then just be detailed. If it says compare, actually make a comparison between the two distributions, okay? All right, let's do a little bit of work on your calculator now to make sure you guys know how to make some of these distributions on your calculator. So go ahead and get out your calculator. And we're going to use some data from your packet here. I think I want to go all the way back to, let's use, have this page open in your packet, okay? We'll look at ages. All right, so we are going to put the ages into a list. You guys remember how to do that? How do we put things in a list? Stat, good start. Edit, nice. And then you just put them in list one. So it was 61. Are you freezing? Yeah. So, North's really cold behind you. I feel like from classroom to classroom, you never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah. The year before this, I'm in McNabb room, and it's so hot. And then it's like, what, 4 doors down.
Right. Well, and this morning, because the power was off before school started, and then it came back on, and Moy's room and McNabb's room were the only 2 rooms that had air conditioning in the hallway.
Really?
It's so weird. So, yeah. You never know. Okay, everybody have the list in? Okay, so now we're going to make some graphs of this. So I'm going to push second, and then y equals. This takes me into the stat plot. And if you forgot your calculator, make sure, you can follow along up here or work with somebody around you as well. Okay, I'm going to push enter to go into this first plot. Now, mine has off highlighted. I definitely want on to be highlighted, otherwise it won't show up on your graph. So make sure on is highlighted. Second, y equals got me into stat plot, yeah. All right, then I'm going to go down to type. So we have a bunch of different types of graphs we can create here. We've got scatter plots. You can see that's a histogram, okay? And then we have 2 box plots. The first one shows you the outliers. The second one doesn't, so I would always use the first one. So let's make a histogram first. So highlight one with the little bars on it, okay? All right. Then arrow down your X list. Mine was in list 1. Like wherever you put your values, that's the list you want to have. Does anybody have issues like not in list 1, but you don't know how to get that list in here? Everybody's list 1? Okay, good. And then frequency, just leave that alone as 1. We don't have frequency happening here. Before we push a graph, I'm going to do zoom. So push a zoom for me, top, middle. Oh, maybe. Zoom, okay. And then if you arrow down to 9, you'll see zoom stat. Okay. Does your histogram look like mine? I see some eyebrows that tell me it does not. So do you have other things happening? Okay. And you're white.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, if I clear.
Mine like some syntax error, so like it went through it all and then it just went away.
It is because in your white equals, it's
Maybe
trying to graph that arrow, and it doesn't know how. So probably it's got like a bump in your black characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thing's frozen.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Other struggles? Okay, but you have one. Okay, good. You're probably you got all these weird things. It's trying to grab them. Yeah.
And like the out, I think the like loads and stuff are like. So like.
Anybody else troubles like getting it to show up? Okay. I'm gonna push trace on here. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why it's different, but I'll mess with it a little bit. So if I push trace, what this shows me is that this sort of, I don't know, we'll call it like a bucket that I'm throwing values in. It goes from 22 to 31.75, and there are 5 values that go in there. Okay, yeah, and then arrow over and you can see the next one. my next little bin, if you will. Yeah, trace gets you in here. And so then you can see, it's helpful if you have to make a histogram, you can make it on your calculator and then be like, here's my boundaries and here's my counts, and it just makes it much simpler. Yeah. These are the ages. So like this bin is ages of like, really that's 32 to less than 42 is what it's showing you. Is that what you're asking? Okay. And again, I got there by pushing trace and then you can arrow through. Now I know at least one person has different min and max values and I'm not sure why. So I'm still working on why that's happening with theirs. But that's the general idea of what you can do with a histogram on your calculator. So especially if you have a whole bunch of numbers, it's much easier to kind of sort it for you than to do that by hand.
For the ages, would you round, like would you just round the minimum and maximum?
Yeah, and just make sure you note like, so the reason it's going like 41.5, 42 would be in the next bin. Does that make sense? So you could just draw the line at 42, but say less than 42.
Okay.
Okay. Let's make a box plot of this as well. So again, go second, y equals, we'll go back into that stat plot. And then arrow down to the type. I would pick the one with where you can see the outliers, like they'll show up just as like little stars if they're outliers. Or little open dots. Everything else should be correct, your X list, all of that. And then again, we can go zoom 9. Does that one match? I think you have a value.
What are we talking?
There's no like marker there. Just like what? Wait.
Yeah.
So for mine, like no numbers on this one, so just trace.
Yep.
And now it's like saying like thousands and like
The Y values aren't going to matter. Because it's just like, oh, I placed this on your graph for you. The X values are the only that matter.
okay, and is it like fine if there's nothing like I click the arrow, the number changes, but there's nothing like saying anything?
It's weird that it doesn't show up. It's sort of not easy to see that
Yeah.
actually on. Ooh, I'm going to get rid of this in your Y one. I think it's tracing that. That might be why you have it. There we go. And it's labeling it. Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, no problem. Now again, if I push trace on this, you see some valuable information. Isn't it so much better? Yes, you will love your calculator and stuff. It's with you all the time. Okay? There's no non-calculator or anything. You can always do this on there. Nope, full test is calculator. So yes, very nice. But when you trace, you can see your 5-number summary just through tracing. You can see your minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and max. Okay. So yes, much easier than doing this by hand. You don't have to calculate the one variable statistics and write it down and make the graph. Like you can just go straight here and that's okay. All right. So questions on how to do those on your calculator? Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do then, we're done with notes. I'm going to have you guys join my Khan Academy classroom, and that way I'm going to assign a little bit of practice to you in there. So Oh, the little like celebration noise.
Yeah, because I had on a clock to get it right. They know that.
I guess it's better than like a sad sound.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wah, wah. You're so.
All right, guys. So if you go to khanacademy.org/join, there is my join code. And I will. Oh, and when you join, guys, please, please, please make your username last name, comma, first name. Okay, it can be your first name, nickname, like what you go by, but please edit that for me. Otherwise, all I see are your student IDs, and I have to go in and edit them one by one. It's painful. I don't enjoy it. So, last name first.
Do we use our personal emails or school emails for the
It actually doesn't matter for Khan Academy.
You said username is the thing that shows you?
Yes, let me make sure that that's what I want. I think that's what I had to edit over and over. I'll look in last year's and see. Actually, so what I see, student name, I would like you to make sure is this. Do you guys see that where you can edit your student name?
This is real name. Is it that?
Maybe that's what it is. It shows up as student name on mine. And then I've got username/email, which that's fine if that can be your school email, your personal email, whatever. But the part where you can type in your name, real name, student name, I don't know what it shows up for as you guys. But if you could make that your last name and then your first name, that would be amazing. So some of you are doing it. Let's see. Here's who's done it correctly. Mia, David, Luke have done it correctly. The rest of you have not. Some of you, there's 5 of you, I just see your student ID, and then others, last name, comma, first name. So if you want to go edit that for me, it would save me a whole lot of time. Yeah.
So they ask you for like your name and then you can edit your username. Do you want both the username and the name?
So let's see, someone who got it right. Luke, how did you get last name, comma, first name? Where did you put that?
I just went to edit profile and then the thing that says real name, that was my student ID.
Okay, so change your student ID and real name to last name, comma, first name. Thank you. And some of you changed it, but you wrote like, you just did your first name and last name. Okay, so.
These are personal.
Yes. Yep, that's fine. Let me refresh and see if we've made any progress. Are you guys having troubles?
Yeah. I put in for AP statistics and then it kind of just like signed me out of everything. And I didn't like specify yours for class.
Oh yeah, don't do just that. Make sure, so you did the join code?
I did not.
Okay, do that. So, you gotta go here to join, and then this is the code you're gonna type in, okay? Yes, of course. All right, we're making progress, guys. Allie, Gabby, Josh, Ryan, Sylvia, Alice, Noor, Jaden, Luke still, Leah, David, Mia, Ethan, Natalia. You guys are good. If I haven't said your name yet, I won't call you out yet. But remember, last name, comma, first, in that real name part. I know this takes a minute, guys. It's okay. So, Patrick, I see you in there, but I just see you as Patrick C.
That's really odd.
It is.
This is what I put in. Like I put in my name and stuff.
Maybe you updated right as I refreshed. I have to keep refreshing. It's not. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's see. Give me one more minute here, guys, to get everybody in there, and then I'll assign you some tasks, okay? It still has you just as Patrick C. It's very bizarre.
It didn't even show me that like when I tried to change it, so I don't know what that is.
And you're in 8th period AP Stat, like does that say that it's that? Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure. Let's see. Hope, are you able to edit yours? Go ahead.
I've rejoined during a different email, so am I good?
Oh, you should be. Yeah, you're good. All right, so I will go ahead. I'm still missing 3 people. Let's see. How many people are absent today? A couple of people. All right, so let me get some things assigned to you. Maybe. I saved some, I didn't like it, okay. All right, you should see quiz 1 assigned. And quiz 2 assigned. Are you guys seeing that in there? Okay. So work through these Khan Academy quizzes. They're like 5 to 7 questions long. They're not super long. And when you finish that, you guys should see quizzes or a quiz in AP Classroom, and you can start working on that. Luke, did you have a question? Okay. Anybody not seeing the Khan Academy assignments? Are we okay? Yes. Yeah, guys, on the Khan Academy ones you're doing in here, yes, you can work with someone on those. You can take them multiple times. It's just for practice. The AP Classroom quiz you can only do once, and I would like you to do that on your own. Yeah. Let me pull it up again. Yeah. Go on a hike.
No, where is the closest one?
If you go this way, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It like showed up and this like an assignments topic popped up.
But hold on, let me get the join code up here for this, and then we'll figure it out, Patrick. I wonder if you're like joined twice somehow.
oh,
And-
actually, it did just come up.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that means my profile.
Maybe, yeah. I'll check here in a second. Ooh, I just heard a happy noise. Somebody got one right. Good job, guys.